Welcome to the She Makes Africa podcast, brought to you through the efforts of the AWEC Alumni Network. Women's entrepreneurship is the lifeblood of Africa's growth, and our continent is leading worldwide, with women making up 58% of Africa's self-employed population. Entrepreneurship can also be lonely and expensive without access to finance, but women are rising above these challenges through collaborations. We are here to share these stories from the AWEC Alumni Network over the next 15 minutes. We hope the women's journeys inspire you. Over to you, Priska.
Welcome to this episode of the She Makes Africa podcast. My name is Priska. I was part of Cohort 4, and my company's name is The Maker Club. We're based in Zimbabwe, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Frida. Frida, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Frida Muyambo. I run a business called Zoe Kwan. It's in fashion, and I run it with two other co-founders. I am from AWEC Cohort 2. I am joining you today from Zimbabwe, but I am definitely Pan-African. We can talk about it.
Excellent. Thank you, Frida. And so today we have a very special guest from our AWEC community. We have invited her to share specifically about how she's leveraging AWEC relationships to grow and strengthen her business. So Naomi, please could you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your business and what led you to become an entrepreneur?
Oh, amazing. Thank you for having me, Frida and Priska. My name is Naomi. Hello, everyone. I am from Nigeria, based in Lagos, Nigeria. And the name of my brand is Anesi Lifestyle. It's a home fragrance brand that is designed to enable people enjoy everyday moments, everyday living through scents. So we encourage professionals, entrepreneurs, stay-at-home moms, everybody really to, make the best use of their everyday life, be more productive, enjoy and create a relaxing ambience by using our scented products. And so what inspired me to be an entrepreneur was partly because growing up, I saw my mom use certain scented candles. However, I didn't really know what it was until I started working 9 to 5 as well, until I'd be tired, and I would want, some sort of relaxation or escape. And then I found, candle making. And the scents invigorated me, made me feel more relaxed. And I was, looking forward to the next day. And I thought that was something I could share with the world. So that was kind of how it started. It also started as a bit of a hobby because even before I started working, I really wanted to do something more than just have, a job. I wanted to create something and express my creative side. So I always wondered, okay, so what could I have done? What could I do? And back in school, I would, create throw pillows to sell because I wanted to raise funds for a girl outreach I used to do then. I used to gift girls pads and sanitary pads and all of those things. So I needed to raise funds. And I guess that was where my old entrepreneurial spirit thing came up because I needed to look for money, but I didn't know how. So I decided to start selling throw pillows that I would make. And then fast forward to my final year in school and thinking, okay, so what else can I do? And scented candles just came to mind. And I started to explore it while I was working. And then it just became a full-blown business that made me quit my job 2 years later. And this is now 4 years into running it full-time. So yeah, that's how I got into the entrepreneurial journey.
Wow, wow, wow. That is quite an inspirational story. I mean, I love that you've really tapped into where you are on your journey as a human being, as a woman, because, self-care seems to be the buzzword of the 21st century, but it is so important. It is truly, truly important. And I really wish I could get my hands on your candles. I love it. But
thank you.
Yeah. But could you please share with us and our audience about your AWEC journey? Like, how did AWEC come into the scene? And what are the 2 top things you learned on the program that have significantly impacted your business?
Okay, thank you. So I often tell people that AWEC is one of like the turning points in my entrepreneurial journey because it validated my business idea, you know. I belong to another community and someone put it up on the group that, okay, this was something that, entrepreneurs need to go on. And she was in cohort 3. And, I just decided to give it a try. Prior to that, I had actually heard of AWEC before when I was working my 9 to 5. There was something else I was doing. I told you about this NGO thing and how I'm so passionate about helping people to grow. So I applied for AWEC when I was working back then, but I didn't get in and I kind of just forgot about it. So when it was dropped on the group, I was like, oh, this thing that I tried to do then, maybe this is the right time and maybe this is the right business. So I decided to apply. But I guess the fear of not being accepted again made me put it off to the last minute until that particular person who, put it on the group reached out to me personally and I was like, have you applied? So it was like 4 hours to the deadline that I actually, put in my application. So imagine my excitement when I actually got in and was selected amongst, all the other amazing businesses and women entrepreneurs. So the course was a 1 year thing and it stretched me because I had to be dedicated. I had to put in the work. I had to implement. I had to be intentional. It's not something that you could just listen and then just carry on. There were peer sections, there were tasks, there were group works, there were meetings, weekly reviews, and so many things like that, that you had to be involved in. And I guess that marked my entrepreneurial journey. It made me understand that I needed to show up even when I don't feel like. It also made me understand that I can't really do life alone. I needed a team, so the reason I entered in the first place was to understand more about structuring my business. And I got that out of AWEC. I saw how intentional they were, how excellent the whole team structure was. We had coaches, we had people mentors, we had so many support systems that it gave me a perspective to business that I needed, and it opened my eyes to what it means to truly build a business that is beyond you. So that was one of the impacts that AWEC did for me. And then I can't forget the community, the sense of community. My team members, my peer members, they were so amazing. They were so amazing. They were keeping me accountable, reaching out if I was unavailable, and it just made things so much more easier for me. And so, yeah, I made lifelong friends that I'm always grateful for, that I can always reach out to. And yes, so many things. I can't even begin to recount all the things that AWEC has done. This is just scratching the surface and giving you a hint. But yes, that's let me just stop there.
Oh, wow. You are overflowing with praise for the program. And I think with Frida and myself also having been through it, we would share your sentiments that the program is so well structured and so supportive of women entrepreneurs. And some of your comments are like perfect. It's like you're preempting my next question. As you were talking about your team and the relationships. So AWEC has grown to be a community of almost 1,000 women from across Africa. And so that's a big community with women from the different countries and different industries. And the question that I would have for you is, coming out of these relationships that you've established, have you managed to collaborate or work with any AWEC alums in anything that you would like to share? How has that process been? How did you connect with the fellows that you ended up working with?
Okay, yes, definitely. So I'm going to pick one example. Obviously, I've had several moments to interact with all the women from all the ladies from AWEC that I know personally and the ones that I met during the General Assembly. So I'm just going to give one example for collaboration. In terms of collaboration, I love the fact that AWEC women genuinely look out for each other. They're very supportive. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is so like I said, we make home fragrance products and everything, and people have been asking us for trainings and all of that. So when I attended AWEC General Assembly, I noticed that I was like one of the only people, who make scented candles and all of that. So that put in me this idea that, what, more people across Africa needed to learn the benefits of, self-care, home fragrance, and how they can actually monetize these things. So I decided to create a webinar, and then I just put it up on the AWEC group. And oh my, the way it blew up, I didn't even run an ad within 2 days of putting it up on the group. In fact, in just a few hours, we got over 200 people to sign up for the webinar, not even only from our group, like everybody kept sharing it out of the group. And then we got so many people interested and everything. And I feel like that opened my eyes to the power of community, people who are genuinely supportive. So that's just one, example. Another recent example is when one of the people that I met at the General Assembly, she was actually my roommate because we used the same travel agency, and then we met, right in the room in Kenya for the General Assembly. And she just reached out to me recently, and she was like, "Oh, her restaurant is turning 6, and she would like for me to come to exhibit my products at a restaurant." And that blew my mind because, I mean, of all the brands around you, of all things, I mean, you might just want to say, "Oh, just come support me, celebrate with me," but you actually involved me in your celebration process, invited me to share your joy and to share your customers, and just, get them to also experience what scented candles and reed diffusers are like. I felt like that was very thoughtful, and very supportive. And so that sparked a collaboration where, I went to a space, I exhibited for 2 days. People who came to, get my candles also got to taste our food from the restaurant, which is very lovely. It's in VI Ikoyi, Zolin restaurant. Our food is amazing. And so it just that was one way where we kind of I don't know what the word is, but like there was a crossing of like two brands, and then emerging where the two customers from the two brands would come in and, just enjoy what each brand has to offer. And so increase visibility on both ends. So that was one amazing thing for me. Yeah, another example of collaboration with AWEC women, or as we love to call ourselves, AWEC sisters, is so some of the other ladies that I also met at the GA were talking about how we needed to implement more of the things that we learned, how we needed to keep ourselves accountable. So we created a group. I think we called it Business Body at the beginning of the year. And so we usually just put our goals in there, talk about, how we could achieve it, and support each other on, congratulate each other when we have wins, support each other when any of us are down, and all of that. So those are just some examples of, the relationships that I have nurtured over time, being an AWEC alumni, that I'm so grateful for. And I'm actually looking out for even more, of this kind of relationships. So yes, thank you.
Wowzers, Naomi. Fire, 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 fire. I just love this. And you just sound like a woman of action. And I think that is completely awesome. I mean, I think you have touched on this a little bit as you were describing your collaborations, but if you could directly just say what were the benefits of collaborating with an AWEC sister, and if there were any systems or structures you put in place to ensure success for both of you.
That's a really good question. So I've always been a fan of collaboration. One of the things that I believe, happens when people collaborate, or especially women, and in this case, AWEC alumni collaborate, is because of the visibility, the support as well. So visibility in terms of, you can't be on an island. You don't know everybody. Your brand is not known by everybody either. And most of the time, the people who would patronize you would also patronize another brand that, kind of aligns with your brand, right? So it's important to put yourself in a position where you are accessible and you can be discovered, by other likely customers. And that's one thing that collaboration does. I feel like it's an inexpensive way to gain more visibility and attention on your brand, especially if the brands align. That's one important strategy, right? So in my case, people who would go to a restaurant, they're all for lifestyle, they're They want to have a good time. They love to create moments and make memories. And that's also the kind of things we promote as a home fragrance brand. You would want to create lovely memories, whether at home or, at work or whatever it is you're doing during your day. So that means you're pro lifestyle. And that's the customers align, right? So that helped. Another thing that collaboration would do is to help you to actually test what works, what works and what doesn't work. Feedback, get quality feedback from new and intending customers and also the person you're collaborating with, right? So I always say that you never know until you try. So collaboration just helps you put, a foot out there and just test the waters, do something new, do something different, right? So strategies for collaboration is basically, first of all, making sure that you're on the same page with the person, making sure that what is expected of you and what is expected of them is clear. So for example, I needed to know what she wanted me to bring on board, and that also enabled me to do that. Also, ensure that you are also giving value. Like both parties have to give value. You can't just say it's a collaboration and then it's only one party that is, giving or doing all the work. One of the values that I know I provided in this scenario was ensuring that we're able to get some more word out there about the event, in as much as the time frame was quite short, but we were able to push out and, have word of mouth and push, for the event as well. So ensure that you're also giving value and it's not just a take scenario, it's a give and take. So yes, make sure the brands align, make sure that, you're giving value, make sure that you understand expectations. What are both brands bringing to the table? Like, what are the expectations for the events? Let both of you be on the same page. So yes, that's just what I would say about, collaborating.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Naomi. And I like that there's a lot of intentionality in your approach. Leading on from there, whilst you were participating in these collaborations, did you face any challenges? And if so, how did you overcome them?
I wouldn't say I faced any challenge. Maybe because, we're in the same city, we're able to see, we're able to talk on phone. So communication, I feel like communication would override any form of challenge. And also maybe because of the terms of this particular collaboration, it was more of an invitation. So things were quite smooth, expectations were quite clear. For other cases, I would say maybe the only challenge you might face would be distance, language barrier, and most of which we have tools that can, help out with those things, such as like, for example, we're communicating over Zoom. So when you're trying to have a collaboration with someone, especially as AWEC alumni is such a diverse crowd from different African nations and across the world. So communication is just very important for any challenge, you know, basically, and just being clear on the same page, probably have a document that states, depending on the level of collaboration it is, especially if it's a partnership, just have a document that states what is expected from each person. If there's any concern, make sure you let your concern known. Okay, something just came to mind. For example, when I got there, because I was not just going to be the only brand exhibiting, there was going to be another brand, but I got there a bit behind schedule. And so there was the space that was allocated wasn't, quite fitting for my brand. So I had to like communicate and tell both the brand, the second brand, and also, this my fellow AWEC alumni that, okay, you know what, we needed she didn't even need to come up because eventually I spoke with the other brand and we're able to sort that out and come to a compromise, and I got a really good space, for my brand as well. So communication really just sorts everything out. Also for collaboration, just make sure that you're well prepared, that there's no rush or there's enough time for each party to prepare. So yeah, that's basically it. Communication, preparation, and I think you're good to go. Yes.
That's wonderful to hear. And I don't know who prepares business, entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs better in terms of communication and preparation better than AWEC. But can I just squeeze in, if you can give us a 30-second answer into how being part of the AWEC alumni community has impacted your business strategy?
Okay, so I'm just quickly going to say there was a business network we had recently. I think there were mentors coming in. They did it for AWEC alumni. And so you just talk to a person about a particular thing that, you wanted to talk about. So I love how AWEC is still involving us even after we are done with the program. I guess that's just what I'm trying to say, because the particular person that I was assigned to speak to at that strategy discussion, I think it was AWEC Business Network or something. I can't remember the exact name, but she gave me such an amazing perspective to my business. At that time, I think it was June or so, I was at a crossroads on what to do. I wasn't sure on a particular decision to take. And she just took me out of the situation. Like, she gave me a different perspective where it was almost as if I was looking through a bird view on top of the situation and I could get clarity. And, that's just one of the amazing ways that being in the network helps. You just get access to so much. I feel like I'm not alone. You have so much access to help. If I have a question, I can drop it on the group. I get answers from seasoned entrepreneurs who have also been in that situation or who knows someone who can actually help me out. So I'll say those are some of the things that, keeps me excited about the alumni, being a part of the alumni. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Naomi. I'm really inspired by how you are pulling from the community that's been made available to you and using that to strengthen your business by seeking advice and by participating and engaging in the community, even after completing the program. We would just like to say thank you so much for being our guest. I know I have been impressed and inspired by your story, and definitely challenged to be doing a lot more. So thank you so much, Naomi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, community, we have heard it. Collaborations have enabled women to expand their business, gain traction, and make a greater impact. Now, it's your turn to present your opportunity to this community of 1,000 women and grow.
What is your key takeaway from this podcast? And let us know if you are inspired to take action and collaborate with an AWEC sister. As always, we would love to hear from you. So if you like this podcast, if you have a question, leave us a message in the comments section. Once again, thank you very much for joining the She Makes Africa podcast, brought to you through the efforts of the AWEC Alumni Network. Until next time, let's collaborate.